time codes in the description, and also chapters or something. So, Sonic 3's trailer finally happened. It sure took them long enough. Now, if you want to know every little detail in this trailer, I sure hope I'll fulfill that need. I'm new to this. Now, if you are not knowledgeable in the who, what, where, and why of Mr. Edgy the Hedgy, or the games, comics, shows, etc. his story is told in, and want to go into this film as blind as possible, I honestly don't know why you clicked on this video. The thumbnail explicitly said potential spoilers in the bottom corner in very tiny, hard to read text. Now, you are probably wondering what my personal thoughts on the movie franchise are up to this point, because this is my first Sonic video on this channel. Put quickly, Sonic the Hedgehog was surprisingly good. It was the last movie I watched in theaters before the virus took over the world. I haven't been to a theater since, actually. Sonic 2 was pretty okay, as long as you ignore the stupid wedding subplot. And Knuckles the series exists. Do I need to talk about this one too? Overall, I've been pleasantly surprised by Jeff Fowler and co.'s forays at reimagining the speedy blue rodent for the big screen. And as a Sonic fan, it was personally nice to be able to consume a Sonic story that didn't suck! Seriously, if you haven't been a Sonic fan, or at least haven't been one for long, you have no idea how exhausting this franchise is. Honestly, it's just kind of nice to have most of these characters be something resembling themselves again. Eggman, Robotnik, is a menacing, intelligent, and serious threat while still being comedic? Awesome! Why can't any of you manage that? Jim Carrey was an absolutely inspired choice to play the Mad Doctor, and his descending spiral into insanity has been quite entertaining. Can't wait to see the fat suit, by the way. Finally! Knuckles isn't an ultra-flanderized knucklehead who is too stupid to breathe! And again, Idris Elba is another inspired casting choice. And Tails isn't a cowardly wimp anymore! Huzzah! Although he did kinda get the short end of the stick in Sonic 2. He sort of dropped out of the film's second half, and also his backstory didn't make a lot of sense.
So you've been watching me this whole time? Even in the shower?
So I hope that Sonic 3 ends up making up for that. But hey, at least you made it to the big screen, Colleen!
Right. You guys weren't in the movie?
What movie?
The human OCs are also here and are fine. The Donut Lord is likable enough. I like the dynamic he has with Sonic. And I'll admit I've always had a soft spot for the childless authority figure helps guide wayward youth story setup. And that moment at the end of 2 when Sonic called him dad kinda pulled on the heartstrings a bit. Pretzel Lady is here and is fine. She hasn't done a whole lot to stand out necessarily, but she certainly is loyal and brave, and she and Tom are cute together, so all of that has to count for something, I guess. Agent Stone is the GOAT! Milk. I honestly found Wade kind of insufferable, but surprisingly, I found him a lot less annoying in Knuckles, strangely enough. He was actually kind of a lovable dork in that. Olive Garden Guy is fine in the first film because he doesn't do much of anything in it. Unfortunately, in the second one, he orchestrated the dumbest sting operation ever conceived by human minds. It would be freaking hilarious if it wasn't for the fact that this is also how they decided to introduce Gun into this universe. You know, GUN? The organization that massacred an entire space station and executed an innocent, terminally ill 12-year-old girl for the crime of trying to save her adoptive brother from being used as a super soldier by the deep state. Does anyone else feel tonal whiplash from this too? Rachel is annoying. I get the feeling that it's an intentional writing decision, but she has way too much screen time into my goodness. And now I have officially talked about every major character in this film franchise. Alright, fine, I'll talk about Sonic. Yeah, he is straight up not the character from the games at all. Very little of his classic Sega characterization is intact here. What you see in the games was a guy who was independent, nomadic, cocky, experienced, occasionally introspective, and limited his jokes and quips to 1 or 2 per game. is not what we get here. But to be fair, the guy I'm pining over hasn't been present in anything else for the past 15 years either. But that being said, he is at least a likable, mostly well-written protagonist that doesn't leave mass murderers off the hook for no reason because, oh, I can't kill anybody. That would be a bad guy thing to do. I can't put people in jail or stop them from hurting more. Sorry, I'm going on a rant now. And Ben Schwartz is great in the role, even if he is just playing the exact same character he literally always plays. Man, a large amount of them happen to be blue, and he is purposefully younger than every other version of him, so hopefully the door is still open for him to grow into becoming more like the guy I grew up with. Maybe when he finally hits puberty, his arms will start being the right freaking color. I've also enjoyed basically every change they've made to the mythos thus far. The guys seem to have a good handle on what pieces of lore to keep, discard, change, or condense, and also where to add completely new stuff that flat out didn't exist before. But I'm mostly excited because Sonic 3 is reportedly adapting Sonic Adventure 2 to the big screen. The game's story is revered and held in high esteem in the community, and for good reason, even though its plot has the consistency of Swiss flipping cheese. I really hope they dropped the mistaking Shadow for Sonic Idiot plot that Mikawa-san was way too proud of.
Was that Sonic?
No! That's not Sonic! That is not Sonic! You idiot! SA2's premise, characters, and themes arguably hold up, at least enough for people to still talk about them to this day. And the key centerpiece to its story is everyone's favorite edgelord, Shadow the Hedgehog. Now, personally, if I were to rank my top 5 Sonic characters in order, they would be Shadow, Sonic, Silver, Rouge, and Omega. So by extension, you could tell I'm a big Team Dark guy. Now, you, a layman, may laugh when I say the edgelord meme guy is my favorite. And if your perception of Shadow is only of the meme, I can't exactly blame you. I'm gonna say something very original here. An idea no one else has ever espoused before. I think that Shadow is a misunderstood character nowadays. What do you mean that's not an original thought? That one 2005 game we generally don't talk about, Kirk Thornton, Sonic Boom, the past 14 years of Flanderizations, and cowards run, I win. Altogether certainly haven't helped his public image much. He was alright in Prime though. I sincerely hope that this movie can act as a first step toward rehabilitating his public perception, or perhaps a second step, depending on how Sonic Cross Shadow Generations turns out. No, I'm not calling it Sonic X Shadow Generations. That's now, the reason I like the guy so much is mostly for conceptual reasons. The anti-hero slash villain who has a traumatic and or checkered past and goes on a journey of self-discovery and redemption before joining the good guys is my favorite character archetype ever. You got your Dinobots, Zuko's, Armada Starscreams, and I'm sure I could come up with more examples if I really felt like it and had more time. Though admittedly there are some pretty crap ones too. Man. Over half these examples are from I personally feel like Shadow's story, in particular, has the potential to be at the center of a very powerful film. And I hope Jeff and co. have also realized this and have capitalized on it. And hopefully it won't just end up feeling like a rehash of Sonic 2's Rivals to Allies conflict. Now, the foregoing rumor that seems to be more confirmed as we go along is that a certain Keanu Reaves will be voicing him. And if that is the case, the casting director absolutely deserves a freaking raise after this and all the aforementioned fire casting decisions. The guy played John Wick. So of course he's a perfect fit. He's an angry, gun-touting, unstoppable killing machine on a crusade to avenge the killings of his lost loved ones. He's literally perfect. Also something, you're a national treasure. One last thing before we really get started. It's kind of the popular consensus that Mr. Junkie XL's scores for the previous 2 films left a little to be desired. They weren't bad scores, but this is Sonic we are talking about. You can't just slide by with a soundtrack that is just okay. The entire thing has to be nothing but bangers, Tom, the composer, not the character. I remember hearing somewhere that someone or something prevented Junkie from using synths or doing a non-orchestrated score, which if that's the case, someone needs to rethink that. And if Junkie is simply exaggerating about his hands being tied behind his back, then he should probably step it up a notch. Because this is the Shadow movie. We need that grungy, moody, industrial sound for his music. That really shouldn't be a problem for him. He did the soundtrack for Deadpool, for crying out loud. And if Tom is somehow lacking in inspiration or whatever, tell him to just listen to some Hadoken or something. Like, imagine if they pull off an absolutely fantastic score where all the action sequences are Arcane-esque music videos. That's what I'd want, is all I'm saying. Live and learn is pretty much confirmed at this point. And I know everyone's asking for them to bring back Crush 40, and yeah, I want them back for one more ride too, don't get me wrong. But I think it would be even cooler if, and Jeff, if you're somehow watching this and there's still enough time to add this in, if you haven't already, here's another suggestion. Julian K, bring them back too. You know, if that's feasible. Please? Pretty please? But I don't know what legal jumping hoops you'd have to go through, so maybe I'm asking for too much. But yeah, going into this trailer, that is my thoughts. I've recorded this the day before. No, not the terrible game. That was a scam on Steam. The day before the trailer was uploaded. Okay, but now I'm just waiting to see our first real look at the movie.
Sonic, you finally found your family.
Whoa, Big Ben's here.
I know it has
London.
But you didn't change who you are in here.
Yeah, in my lungs.
Lungs. This is looking good so far. Prison Island!
There's been a high-level security.
There's Shadow.
We need Team Sonic's immediate assistance.
Oh.
Project
Oh, the
Shadow
boots look
is
cool.
far beyond anything we've ever encountered.
Shadow's story began a lot like yours, Sonic.
Maria.
But where you found family and friends, Shadow found only pain and loss.
We got a rogue alien on the loose. How do we find it?
Giant fireball?
I love it. Let's start with the giant fireball.
Oh, yeah.
He is much more impressive than the Hedgehog I fought previously.
Dude, I'm standing right here.
Your colorful bunch.
We don't want to fight you.
Actually, Sonic, I would like to fight.
Yes, you want to fight him. Oh!
My turn.
Yes! Chaos control. He can fly with his jet boots. Thank goodness. Space Colony Arc is under the sea for some reason. Also, we're hearing the Green Hell Zone thing.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but we need you-know-who.
Oh no, Eggman.
Bad idea.
When has that ever stopped me?
We're gonna see him. Yes, the fat suit!
Doctor,
We have visitors.
this is sad, Robotnik. Even for you.
We need your
Oh,
help.
it's Hema.
On one condition.
Oh, the quills are drugs now.
If I can't rule the world, I might as well save it. I need room. Sir, I don't have the proper material.
Oh, live and learn.
We're done. There won't be anything left.
And he's riding a motorcycle.
What did you do?
What I had to.
Yes! Oh, that is so hype.
Welcome home, my boy.
Gerald?
It's impossible.
Is it?
It couldn't be.
Jim Carrey is playing Gerald?
In the saggy
Is that Jim Carrey too? He's alive and not dead for some reason? Okay, that's a change I'm willing to see what they do with. Alright, So now that that is over with, let us attempt to guess the chronological order of things and discuss everything. Aw yeah, it's breakdown time! Okay, so I'm guessing this film will start with a cold open like 2 did, with us opening on Shadow's escape from Prison Island and water skating his way to the mainland. After that, we get the opening of Team Sonic racing each other for fun. It's called Rail Grinding Son, and Tom talks with Sonic afterwards. Green Hill, Lupin, Longclaw. Now, Tom says,
Sonic, you finally found your family. I know it hasn't always been easy, but you didn't change who you are in here.
which makes me wonder real hard about what the theme of this film is going to be. Then, somehow, Team Sonic commandeers a helicopter with Tails as the pilot, and they fly through a warp ring to Japan to fight Shadow. You could tell it's Japan. Look at the signs. All of them are written in Japanese. And now we finally have a good look at my favorite edgy boy in glorious high definition. Now here's a list of notes. Boots. Great. Love them. Though they are significantly less boot-like than the teaser prop image led me to believe. Gloves. Leather? Awesome. More Shadows should have their gloves made from leather. It helps distinguish his handwear from Sonic's more. Also something he rides a motorcycle. Rings. Very shiny, much panel lines. Proportions and anatomy. He looks like Sonic, but looks slightly older and maybe taller? He certainly looks less cute and more mature by comparison. Face is Sonic, but angry. So accurate. Chest hair isn't floofy enough. But at this point, I'm nitpicking. Back on track, I appreciate that Shadow has much less patience for Team Sonic's Marvel-esque banter than I do. Also, Shadow has a bike! I mean, it's the wrong bike, but I'll allow you guys one more chance to get it right. And here's the 05 Shadow bike render pose. It's technically also that one particular shot from Akira, but that's not a Sonic reference. I need to get around to watching that film, don't I? Later on, Commander Olive Garden relays some information on a
high-level security breach
to Team Sonic at a Japanese Chow Garden themed restaurant. Because of course. Unfortunately, someone then tries to assassinate the commander, and Sonic pushes him out of the line of fire from those missiles. Now, I'm going to say I found it a bit weird when Commander Olive Garden said,
Shadow's story began a lot like yours, Sonic, but where you found family and friends, Shadow found only pain and loss.
Again, I found it a bit weird for him to say. I mean, if we're adapting the whole Commander thinks Shadow killed Maria thing from the aforementioned game we generally don't talk about, it's a bit odd for him to be expositing about Shadow's backstory, to Sonic in particular, in a sympathetic tone. And then I realized that audio is ADR'd in. Seriously, compare it to the dialogue we can confirm he actually says on camera.
There's been a high-level security breach.
And then the ADR audio.
Shadow's story began a lot like yours, Sonic.
Breach.
Shadow's story began a lot like yours, Sonic.
If you are wondering, yes, trailers do make up character lines sometimes, especially Paramount ones.
Bumblebee, you must protect Earth and its people.
Yeah, Optimus doesn't actually say that in the film. Sometime after Japan, Team Sonic continues their world adventure by going to London, where the space colony Ark has been submerged in a moat somehow, and is much smaller than it should be. Okay, maybe I jumped the gun on calling it the Ark. It's probably something completely unrelated, or like the vessel that the Eclipse cannon is inside of or something. After they lose the battle, I presume, the Sonic heroes ask for Eggman's help, where we see the giant crab meat. And oh my goodness, Rotund Eggman is glorious. I'm glad Jim finally got the fat suit he was asking for. He appears to be in some sort of funk, but that's nothing a Sonic Quill pick-me-up can't fix apparently. Now, here's a guess. This shot of Sonic sleuthing around is in the same scene as Gerald meeting with Ivo here. Now, I was, and am still, a little confused by this. In the game's canon, and every other version of the story for that matter, after the Ark was shut down 50 years ago, Gerald was almost immediately executed by firing squad. No, I'm not making that up. That was actually an explicit on-screen plot point in the cartoon Hedgehog game. But in this version, he is still alive and very old. And I think that's Jim Carrey underneath those prosthetics. Now, personally, I would have preferred if they got Mark Hamill to play Gerald, but given recent events, maybe it's a good thing he's not in this film. Mark and Shadow are on opposite sides of the political spectrum after all. Now, I'm guessing Gerald is the mastermind behind all the evil in this film, and that he tries to convince his grandson or son or whatever to double-cross Team Sonic and help him with his plan to make everyone else feel his loss and despair. It's probably safe to assume the set in the back here is a room inside the Space Colony Ark, and we can pretty much confirm that Aliyah Brown, I sure hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, is playing Maria at this point. It would be a shame if something happened to her. I presume this shot is a flashback of Shadow and Gerald, I guess, after they escape the Ark and crash land, and also might be them crouching around Maria's corpse. It's hard to tell. I didn't exactly download the trailer at the highest quality. Also, Shadow does his boost animation from the modern games here. Now, I'm guessing that at the darkest hour moment, Shadow, Gerald, and Ivo team up to steal some of Gerald's old weapons or activation codes or whatever other MacGuffin they could be after. And at that moment, Tom screams, "Sonic!" Now, I'm assuming he is officially or temporarily joined Gunn at this point, given that uniform he's wearing. Whatever the trio has been looking for causes a singularity of some sort to form inside the facility that Team Sonic has to deal with. Oh, they're tied up. I literally just noticed that. At some point, Shadow and Sonic have this back and forth.
When we're done, there won't be anything left. What did you do? What I had to.
Also, we see Tails shooting out of the Ark. Or maybe it's the Death Egg. Who really knows at this point? But like, did you really have to spoil a shot from the end game? Really? You couldn't let that as a surprise? Okay, some final notes before I sign off. We now finally 100% know who is voicing Shadow. Nope, it isn't Robert Pattinson. That was always a bit of a stretch. No, it's not my second choice of Oscar Isaac. And no, it's not Hayden Christensen. I literally have no idea why anyone actually thought that was going to happen. It's not any of them, cause it's Keanu. Yay! I love Keanu. I actually like what I've heard from his performance so far.
You're a colorful bunch. When we're done, there won't be anything left. What I had to.
And I believe he'll be able to handle both the action scenes and the emotional stuff. Though, I'd prefer if another actor voiced his young flashback self. I feel like Keanu's voice might detract from the idea that he's supposed to be younger in those scenes, but whatever. Maybe he has more vocal range than I think he does. You never know sometimes. Now, there might still be a chance that Rouge is in this film. And yes, I really want her to be in it. No, not for that reason. I'm just saying someone needs to be there to be Shadow's ally and question his crusade along with his memories and promise and etc. Rouge did that in the original storyline, and there doesn't seem to be a character we know of yet to fill that role. As of now, Sophia Pernaz, I hope I'm saying that right, character is yet to be identified. She's definitely gonna be in the film, but we have no idea who she is yet, human or effects character. So maybe she's Rouge. Or they could just be lying about casting Kristen Ritter as a human character, given I didn't spot her in the trailer. It's not like movie productions have lied to the press and general public before. But yeah, Jeff, you got my ticket money. I'll be seeing this thing, if not on the 20th, at least shortly after. And you can bet I'll review it on this channel afterwards, where you'll hear all about it. Now, if you watched this all the way through, and you enjoyed my craptastic editing and derivative sense of humor, consider sharing and liking the video, as well as subscribing to the channel. My main form of content here is long-form video essays on movies and TV, and I have a vast videography covering one movie that's over 2 years old at this point. Look, I just started a year ago, okay? Currently, I'm working on the most in-depth, in-the-weeds review of Lightyear ever made. I'm practically the world's most qualified Lightyear scholar at this point. So if you think you'd enjoy a funny stick man getting ongy at a very bad movie, consider watching those two, I guess. I'm also planning on doing videos on other things, too. Don't worry. Oh, and one last thing. Well, also the most important, Keanu needs to say the D word. No, not that one, the other one.
Where's that damn